Hello and welcome to the Glitchhikers stream for LudoNarraCon 2023. My name is Lucas Johnson and I'm the studio director at Silverstring Media. We are the developers for Glitchhikers: The Spaces Between, which released over a year ago, last year on March 31st. We just recently celebrated our 1-year anniversary with some new content and quality of life updates, all very exciting stuff, which you can check out if you pick up the game here at LudoNarraCon. It's on sale. We have a demo available if you want to check it out, but I'm gonna play through a few of the modes here so you can see what the game is like. A bit of a 1-year retrospective for LudoNarraCon, so strap in and enjoy. Let's get into it. So here we are in our, what we call our hub space, the stop convenience store area, with our clerk character, sort of a welcoming force. Why, if it isn't my favorite human, welcome back. What can I get for you? Have you seen the latest additions to the Cool Zone? Yeah, if there's any good questions I can ask. Absolutely. What would you like to know about? Let's ask about the people. Each with their own story. Who would you like to ask about? The people that I meet on the journeys that I'm about to take. The hikers, as we call them. Maybe they're just travelers like you on their own journeys. They always have a story to share or something on their minds. Who exactly they are? Well, that's up to you. I don't like to dictate how you understand this place or these people. I just hope that their stories may bring you some new understanding, some hope, or even just something to occupy your time. Anything else? I think we're good. That was something that was really important to us as we were developing Glitchhikers is, this isn't a game about a specific plot line or narrative. This is a game about creating a space for the player to have a moment of introspection or to think about things they might not otherwise, or just sort of contemplate the vastness of the universe. And so with all of our hikers, we didn't really want to define too much about them. I mean, all of them have sort of their own characteristics, some have their own sort of histories, things like that, but they are vehicles, if you will, for the player to understand themselves in some new way, is sort of the hope that we have. So I'm going to go on just a couple of these journeys, and we're going to start with the highway, which is sort of the most classic, the first one that we conceived of many years ago. So I'm just going to jump right in. This is actually one of the things that we just added in our quality of life update for the 1-year anniversary, is just a little extra context that we didn't have before for each of the journeys, so that people can really understand what to expect from the journey coming forward. And so this one is very simple. We will automatically pick up 4 hikers over the course of the drive. After all 4, the journey will come to an end on its own. Also, I don't know if he's on camera. No, I've been visited by a cat, so he might be making a guest appearance.
And that was Pinky's Dream by David Lynch.
Well, let me turn on subtitles here. Subtitle text enabled.
This is Radio 90, and you're listening to Night Drive. Thanks for joining us tonight. Almost 100 years before Columbus ever sailed to the Americas, a Chinese explorer named Zheng He made 7 naval expeditions, traveling thousands of miles with over 300 ships. When the next emperor came to power, all the ships were destroyed, and the Ming Dynasty entered a period of isolationism that lasted hundreds of years. With that one decision, the fate of the world changed. Let's go on a journey together with our next song, Comrade 618.
That voice of the radio is Jacob Burgess, one of our favorite voice actors to work with. Jacob also did all of the casting and directing of the VO for the other journeys. He's just has always so embodied the highway drive, the voice of the radio, and we loved having him back for this project. As you can see, the highway is very chill. There's not a lot of controls involved. You sort of automatically drive along. And there's our first hiker. The universe is expanding, and yet the universe has no edge. What is it expanding into? I'm in my 4th year of physics, and even I don't really get it. So for all of the conversations, we always have several different options for you to choose from. We try to have sort of a breadth of how a player might respond. You know, we're never going to be able to know exactly what you might say in response, but we wanted to sort of cover a number of different approaches to how you might respond to the hikers. And if you hover over one or highlight it, if you're using a controller, you of course see the larger bit of text. The important edge isn't space, but time. It's just as arbitrary a boundary, and time is so limited, right? We live our whole lives in this tiny blip of time, and yet our time is so filled with love and connection and imagination and sharing and joy that it seems so much bigger, like infinity. See, the thing is, I don't really need to get it. There's like 300 billion stars in our galaxy alone, and billions more galaxies out there. Our little single planet doesn't matter a bit in it all. And yet, it's still wonderful, don't you think? Absolutely. The universe is wonderful. Even with an infinity of the unknown, we still have love and happiness and life. In all the crazy infinity that is our existence and all the vastness of understanding we still lack, there's this amazing thing that is consciousness. Carl Sagan once said that since we are part of the universe, consciousness allows the universe to know itself. That's beautiful. One day in the lab, we were doing chemistry experiments, right? Just simple grade school exercise of burning different substances to see the colors they produce, like fireworks. Magnesium, copper, strontium, lithium. Science and art come together. My lab partner was this girl I didn't know, but she caught my eye right away. Her energy and enthusiasm were so beautiful. We talked about different kinds of stars and the heat death of the universe and the nature of entropy. It was the start of something wonderful. I think love is a beautiful thing. We went away the next day, far away, to a little world of our own, floating amongst nebulae and white dwarves and undiscovered planets. Her sense of humor was dry. Sometimes I didn't even know if she was joking. She said the most absurd things, how she wanted to die in the heart of a star. I said she'd burn up long before she got close, and she looked at me like it was a challenge. We laughed and cried together, helped each other through tough times, family and friends and our own minds. The way she looked at me, a little smile in her eyes. The way she could rattle off chemical equations and the constructions of molecules. She drew them in her sleep, and I'd watch her eyelids flutter gently, then the rise and fall of her chest, the tendons in her arms. We watched the fireworks together on New Year's, rattling off the compounds used, the balance of heat and luminosity, then flew off into the sky through the lingering smoke. We were together 6 months before it flamed out, too intense for us to keep it up. But it was beautiful while it lasted. I will always love those days. Love is an amazing thing. It's what it's all about, connecting with other people like that, the universe knowing itself. I'm gonna go see my new girlfriend now, just outside the city. No matter what humans do, the sun will inevitably grow and consume this planet. One day this solar system will die. It's just gonna happen. But what a wonderful thing to be a part of in the meantime. Gosh, I love driving. Don't you love driving? Why do you drive? I feel like I have a different answer to this every time I get asked this question in this game. I think I'm looking for something. Driving helps me find it, right? There are answers out there, and the beauty is in the search. Drive on. It's our first hiker, now gone.
Welcome back, driver. In the beginning of our solar system, some 4.5 billion years ago, Earth, such as it was, traveled alone. Then another body, nearly as big, crashed into it, and the debris that ricocheted off into space came together to form our moon, Luna.
And there it comes peeking into frame.
We weren't alone. time can convert even the most traumatic upheavals into a picture of peace and companionship. Sometimes it takes an unexpected crash to form a new connection. Drive carefully out there. Find Me on a Whim is up next.
Glitchhikers was first conceived back in 2014. We made a short experimental sort of alt game that was just this highway portion with only a few hikers, which ultimately evolved into Glitchhikers: The Spaces Between a few years ago. But it started with that core, and Find Me on a Whim, the song that we're listening to now, was part of that original soundtrack. Will always hold a nice place in my heart, I think. As you can see, we're now into a different kind of environment with these cliffs and valleys, sort of a Badlands region. The environment shifts between each hiker, so the landscape is always changing a little bit. Isn't that right, Taco? Another hiker here. Just to the nearest hospital. The baby's just about ready to pop out. Thanks for the pickup. Not many of your species seemed willing to take me. You're not human? Seems a little obvious. Shouldn't you get an ambulance instead of hitchhiking? Should I? Sorry, I'm still figuring out the customs of this world. I'm from a little planet in the Triangulum Galaxy. Our star got too close to another system and almost collided with a blue giant. There was a war. And it made the planet totally unlivable, of course, so we left. What was your planet like? They say it was once beautiful, a night sky full of moons, bioluminescence everywhere. I only knew it as it was getting ripped apart. My journey here was long but wonderful. There are so many worlds in the galaxy, so much life. A little planet of tiny volcanoes and baobabs, a civilization of artists and dreamers who believe we are all just living in someone else's story. Tribes of nomadic people who live amongst the stars. The volcanoes and baobabs is a Le Petit Prince reference, if you know that story. You know, all the elements that form life were created in the heart of a star that exploded, spreading the elements throughout the galaxy. You and me, we're made of stars. My god, it's full of stars. 2001 Space Odyssey reference. I don't get it. In many mythologies in this world, the sun is a deity of power, light, fire, strength. Some myths say it must be reborn every year, whereas the earth goddess represents life, birth, fertility. But really, there would be no life without the sun, no earth without the sun. We are all born from stars like the sun. Shouldn't the sun god be the creator of life? A few different kinds of responses here. Both of those are also very gendered. Gender is such a confusing set of rituals and symbols on this planet, but I will have to figure it all out soon. After all, my baby will be growing up surrounded by it, like everyone else here. My sister lost a baby. For years, she couldn't talk about it. Then one day she said to me, "It's just as well. This universe doesn't care about life. I'll wait for the next one." I can't wait. I won't wait. Fortunately, the hospital's just up here. Sonder. You know what that is? It's the sudden realization that every other person, all the people around you driving those cars, are fully conscious people with their own stories and goals and loves and thoughts. Just think about that for a second. And she's gone.
Do you see the signs? Do you take solace from the moon above, the lonely light in the darkness, the trees in bloom? Are you chilled by the abandoned playset, the foam from another time, the specter of death following you? What towns do you pass unnoticed? What stars blink out without being seen? Meaning cannot be thrust upon us. Decisions are ours to make. Unless all of this has happened before. Synapses fire before you've consciously chosen. Did you choose to drive? Karina in the Springtime is up next.
We wanted to use sort of all of the tools at our disposal to help bring the player into this experience and help them sort of understand what we were going for, and that idea that, you know, we can't dictate meaning to you, the player. We can't control what you get out of this game, but there are symbols all around you. There are things that you can pick up on yourself, or that might affect different players in different ways. It's all sort of encoded into what we were trying to do. This seems like an important journey for you. Why did you pick me up? For the company. Yes. The road is a lonely place, and company can be good. Then again, would Odysseus' journey have been as meaningful if he didn't do it alone? Who can say? Well, thank you. The night is cold and the world is wide. Connecting with one person seems a miracle in a world of over 7 billion souls. We're surrounded by possible connections all the time. Possible, yes, but how often do you truly connect with someone? To understand them and have them understand you? To feel you have become more than you were before? Over 7 billion people. Such a difficult number to even comprehend. 7 billion seconds ago, I was 222 years younger. Imagine, we all came from the same place thousands of years ago. All of us common ancestors. The Hindi language has roots in common with Greek, Russian, and English. In those ancient times, we knew so much less about how the world worked. We created stories to explain it, rituals to give our lives order in a place that seemed to have little. We still create stories to give our lives meaning. That's what we're doing here at LudoNarraCon. It is our endless quest to find meaning. Perhaps that is our meaning, to always strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. That is a reference to the poem Ulysses by Alfred Lord Tennyson. In Vedic times in India, the basis of early Hinduism, two of the major deities were Agni and Soma. Agni was a personification of the ritual fire in which offerings were burnt to give to the gods. Smoke rose into the heavens, you see, carrying the messages to the divine, where mortals could not go. Agni was a messenger. If things put in the fire rose to the heavens, why didn't the people jump into the fires themselves? Soma personified a holy drink that granted immortality, one of the offerings to the gods. Some believe it was a hallucinogen, drunk in holy ecstatic ritual. The god of bad trips, perhaps. And the imagery has survived to this day. Soma is commonly used in reference to narcotic and pharmacological substances. The word traveling through the ages. Even ideas have lives and journeys. Both Agni and Soma represented types of journeys, ways we tried to understand the world. We still try. We are faced with an uncaring universe, and yet fewer and fewer people embrace the comfort of religion. Personal, private religion and spirituality are more important than organized institutions. We all must seek understanding of the universe and our place in it in our own way. Though, is it not also important to find connections with others, community? It's very true. We are all on our journeys.
You are you. But who you are changes with time, with context. What mask do you put on around others? Strangers, friends, family, lovers? Do you ever take it off? Can you? Is there a you that is you? 3-pound sack of tissue and nerves pilots a vehicle of meat and bone. Bursts of electricity instruct your foot to press on the gas, your hands to hold the wheel, your heart to beat, your eyes to blink. Did you blink? Did you remember to breathe? Remember to listen now. With our next song, Magnetar Swing.
I was also the main writer on most of the content in this game. And I always loved how Jacob, the voice of the radio, knows my writing style so well and so quickly and easily interprets sort of the tone that I was going for, the cadence of the words. It was, always great to work with Jacob. Ooh, is this the bird? Oh no, it's the witch. Hello, friend. Just look at that perfect road, a winding strip of infinite potential that we're riding ever forward on, as if being pushed by an endless, unseen wave. Take your pick of metaphors. Such a mundane form of travel in many ways, ubiquitous in this time and place. We are a generationless generation driving through the desert of the real. A structured path from here to there, and yet not so mundane, really. In fact, it is full of structured meaning, and consequently, power. Are you a wizard? Nope, nor am I a witch, though I have occasionally been confused for one. I do study a variety of arcane frameworks, but no, not a wizard. Foremost, I am a student of a particular craft, the art of shaping structures. Structures of all kinds, the structures of buildings, but also structures of landscapes, of music, of stories, and of structures that structure other structures. As highways and cars dominated your world and journeys, architecture changed to adapt. Roadside architecture, outsized buildings, angled to be seen in full as you speed past them, with towering signs and sweeping roofs designed to follow the eye of the passing traveler. Sprawling strip malls shaped to remain in view for as long as possible, with vast parking lots to welcome the masses, each happy modern citizen with their own vehicle. There's none of that here. I mentioned I did most of the writing on the game. This is one of the characters that Claris, our creative director, Claris Cyron, actually did most of the writing on, very inspired by her own experiences and background as an architect. She's been my business partner for many years now, and I've had this conversation with her in a car, which she, we were chatting, and she sort of timed this particular point to the stage of the drive we were on. We were driving from Vancouver, BC to Seattle, Washington, a drive that she had done many times, and so she sort of knew the landscape, knew what was coming up, and was making this point about roadside architecture right as we passed, sort of a perfect example of that. There's none of that here, which is fine, I suppose. A change of pace, similar but unfamiliar. The way we travel shapes the structures of the landscapes around us. Cars are a mistake. Our car-focused culture, certainly. Well, certainly the vision that was sold during the rise and height of the automotive industry was nothing more than an empty advertisement to sell us more cars, more often than anyone ever needed. Planned obsolescence in the world of tomorrow. All part of modern life. Of course, modernity actually refers to a specific period, a specific movement of the past, and yet it's come to mean contemporary. Why? I think language changes. Modernity was an era, but words have lives of their own, and meaning changes. Totally true. But I wonder if it isn't indicative of a larger cultural way of thinking. Maybe this is just my focus on interpreting structures showing through, but hear me out. Modernity is in many ways based on the idea that science and reason will solve all problems eventually, and that to that end, progress is always good, always forward, always in the right direction. Modernity favors modular solutions that combine to mutually reinforce a single worldview. It's often framed as the endpoint of knowledge, a grand unification of everything. It sounds great, but that's generally not how the universe works. Modernity created great upheavals, massive infrastructure, and huge scientific advancements, but the idea that there are objective truths lurking everywhere, just waiting to be discovered, irrespective of context, or that technology would solve all our woes, these can be dangerous ideas. So postmodernity came and said, to hugely paraphrase, we have to be careful. Context is important, especially for those outside traditional power structures. Progress isn't always positive. It's dangerous to oversimplify. Speaking of oversimplification. Your critique is fair. I'm inevitably going to give you a partial or incomplete version of things. But if I wanted to be right about everything, I picked the wrong school of thought. Much of this was discussed only within the walls of the academy, and even there, the uptake was far from universal. Some of these ideas trickled out through popular media or resonated with insights developed within the subculture and praxis of the marginalized, seeking escape from the crushing wave of so-called progress. We've supposedly been living in a postmodern world for decades, and yet, look at the billionaires, boy geniuses, and tech giants, applying data-driven pseudoscience and logic to solve all of our problems, using innovation and disruption. Revolutionary promises silence revolution. Meanwhile, their algorithms shape our lives while leaving many behind, and their massive resource use leaves the planet burning. They build over top of the old structures of the internet, like modernists bulldozing historic town centers. It's all just the wave of modernity pushing us along, but offering little meaning, mired in aging dogma. Our contemporary really is modern, but to understand that, you need the footnotes, caveats, critiques, refigurations, addendums, and remixes left to us by postmodernity. No matter what, we can't let ourselves be stuck. We can get out of this wave and find others to ride. We just need to find the courage to turn the wheel. The revolution must be the new structures we enact together each day. That's so beautiful. Wow, I'd like to write that down. No, wait, I'm familiar, already got it recorded. But, yeah. Maybe you know how this works by now. Maybe not. But I don't particularly care why you are driving, so I'm not going to ask. So this is a specific reference to each hiker has a moment where they can ask you, why are you driving? But we only have that happen on the very first hiker of the journey and the very last hiker of the journey on the highway. Partially as a way to think, like, has your mind changed since you began this journey and were asked that question? Has this journey changed how you think about this drive? But this hiker takes a slightly different approach. I want to know what drives you. What are you working toward? What gives you energy? What sustaining purpose have you found in all your life's adventures? I'm looking for something. Understanding, maybe. I'm driven to find it. To observe the universe is beautiful, but to understand is to grant the universe the ability to comprehend its own beauty. We can't sit in despair as the dying wave roils over us. Ultimately, this is why I study my craft. I need to trace new structures that can take us all where we need to go. But I'm not the only one working on this. This is essential. We will have to imagine so many futures. The solution will be many solutions. We must pick which ones to believe in. Dream big and choose wisely. And she's gone. Since we can't know how long a player is going to take in a conversation, since it's all sort of, controlled by the players clicking, we wanted each conversation to have, a song that plays between the bits of the voice of the radio. But the song might be over before you're done with the dialogue. We didn't want it to take too long, because then you'd be sitting there doing nothing for a while after you finish with a hiker. And so if a song finishes, we sort of have this, the radio seeking, finding sort of other channels or other bits of music and sound that come in. And some of the little clips of music that you hear are actually music from other projects of ours, which is always fun.
Close your eyes. What do you see? Do scenes play out in your mind's eye? Destinations or imagined futures? Do you see colors dancing across the darkness? Clouds of obscured light and the pulsing of blood vessels in your eyelids? Are there just abstract artifacts and afterimages? Or do you see yourself? Do you recognize these versions of you? We see you, driver. We know you. We are all here for you. I hope you enjoyed the program tonight. Before we part ways, count backwards with me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. Thanks for listening to Night Drive on Radio 90.
This might be my favorite song on our soundtrack.
I'm always looking for answers, only to be dismayed. Solutions as clear as starlight all seem to fade away. I fear there's something missing, some little mystery. But I've got a strong suspicion the answer's in the stars I see. And we're all star stuff. You are enough.
Ties right into one of the conversations we had. Do I want to exit the highway? I think so. We have other journeys to take.
I'm always looking for someone to take the fall. Time makes us all the villains.
If you want to hear more of that song, check out our soundtrack. Our deluxe soundtrack is 71 tracks. All of it fantastic. Should be on sale along with the game here on Steam, or you can also check it out on all of your favorite streaming platforms and all of that kind of thing. For the anniversary, we also released even more music because apparently 71 tracks wasn't enough. Devin, our lead composer, released a B-Sides and Extras album on his Bandcamp, which you can find at, I believe, devinvibrant.bandcamp.com, with some bonus stuff, which is also very good. But we're going to take another journey here. I think I'm going to do The Path. This is one of my favorite new ones. So here we're going to walk along predetermined paths in whatever direction you wish. Pause your music to speak to any hikers you encounter if you want. You can complete your journey by going to one of 3 park exits marked with an X on the park map once you are ready. After approaching the park map, staring for a few seconds at a destination on the map will warp you there. So unlike the highway, which should have had this very obviously predetermined path and ending after 4 hikers, the journey comes to an end. Some of the other journeys, like the park here, we needed to have it be a little more freeform. You can sort of leave when you're ready to leave, and that means you might not find all of the hikers, talk to all of the hikers that are available in the path at any given time, but it's sort of up to you to feel out what how you're feeling about the journey and when it's right for you to end it. And of course, we have our glitch
Welcome
pod.
once again to Some Awe, a meditation on wonder. Look around you. Where are you? What do you see? Trees? Grass? Other people, maybe? Do you hear birds? Insects? Sense eyes watching you from the shadows? Life surrounds us, no matter where we go. From the depths of a city to the furthest reaches of untouched nature. The bottom of the sea, and maybe even into the stars. And you, here, able to witness all of it, conceive of it, be it, life.
So every journey sort of has a similar cadence in some way to the radio of the highway, the voice, some sort of guiding voice, and then music. Here in the path, we wanted to do something a bit different with the music. Obviously, you know, you're walking along the path. We wanted music that is a little more driving. You know, that you can walk to the beat or whatever. And so we have a lot of songs with a lot more vocals in them as well. And, you know, we didn't include a lot of vocals in the highway music because we were afraid that they would interfere with you being able to sort of read the dialogue of the hikers that you're talking with. So in the path, of course, you're listening to a little glitch pod. You have headphones in. You can't talk to people while you're listening to music with headphones in. And so in order to talk to a hiker, you pause your music. And then you can just enjoy the sounds of nature while you converse. Oh, hey there. It's a lonely night out here. I wasn't expecting to summon up another face. This park is a little refuge of nature nestled among the noise of the world. I love nature. I love getting away from the structures of humanity to the wildness of nature, away from the chaos of people to the order of the cycles of life. So I thought I'd paint it in all its structured, chaotic wonder. Why is there a park in the middle of nowhere? Everywhere is somewhere. Here, there's a park. Art is a reflection of the world you live in, natural or cultural or constructed. I like coming out to see the world, to see how I might see it through the lens of art. All art, good or bad, tells a story, tells many stories. What story it tells depends on what you bring to it. Your own experiences, your own opinions, your own lens. What brings you out here tonight? I'm just going to wander. One doesn't need a destination in mind to find one nonetheless. I used to come to this park as a child, hide among the trees of the enchanted forest, or chase light motes in the grotto, stare down at the highway from the overpass, give lives and stories to every car passing underneath. I used to come here to imagine what the world was like, how it worked, the echoes of the Big Bang, the trees sending out their little clones, the heart of the world beating far beneath us. I used to come here before it was real, before I painted it into existence. A happy accident. How did you paint it? All in 3D, big brush strokes carving out the ones and zeros, form built in virtual space. This is actually kind of a reference to how we designed the park. Clarice, again, our creative director, did some sort of, rough layouts of what this park ended up looking like in VR, in Tilt Brush. Crafted in 3D with big brush strokes, sort of what the layout would be, what the sight lines would be, all of that kind of stuff, which we were then able to sort of export and give to our artists to turn into this actual setting. We live increasingly digital lives. The experiences we have in digital spaces are just as real as those we have in physical ones. There's no meaningful divide anymore, if there ever was. And in these digital lives, we create digital art, representations of physical art, recreations of physical art, but also art that could only exist in a digital form. I think digitization offers greater access. Seeing a picture of a Rothko might not elicit the same visceral reaction as seeing it in person, but how many people will never be able to go to the Louvre? Of course, the digital spaces we inhabit affect what kind of art we consume, and even what kind of art we create. Artists aren't immune to the validation of a like, and with so much art being made, it can be just as hard to find or be found. Whether it's a picture of a painting, an impossible virtual space, or yes, even a video game, we will always strive to create, to communicate, to represent and interpret, even in digital spaces. Feel any different about art now? Art is wonderful. Wonder. What a wonderful word. Heart open to the universe. Awesomeness in its truest meaning. part of understanding the world is sharing unknowns and ideas and questions with others, to reflect on understanding together. All art is reaching for something, and it is in the eye of each beholder that success is determined. Art can find its way into your life in unexpected ways. The important thing is to be open to it. Let it make you think. Let it make you feel. Maybe you won't get anything out of it. That's okay too. But maybe you will. Have a lovely walk. It's a beautiful night. Another hiker. Oh, this is one of the ones that we met in the highway. Salutations, friend. What a wonderful place this is. It's important to take time to be in nature. It so often enriches the spirit. This is a ritual of mine. I go for a walk every day. Is it an act that you have ritualized? Something to be repeated? Or a rite? What meaning does this have for you? Finding a piece of nature to walk through has become a ritual of mine, a pilgrimage even. Many religions feature a ritual of circumambulation, moving around a sacred object or space. The act of walking and of centering something important to you, revolving around it like the earth around the sun. I will circumambulate this park, centering nature. There is a magic to nature, to being a mind and an observer, striding among the trees and under the stars. Magic. What do we think about magic? I think it's a nice idea. Of course, there is absolutely a power to be unlocked and manipulated through magical rites, rituals, and the like. We enter into the magic circle, opening ourselves to the possibilities of magical thinking and ritual, leaving the skepticism of the real world behind for a moment. Here we can let ourselves believe, and let belief affect us. This place is a kind of magic circle, if you let it be. But there are important boundaries to uphold. The magic circle isn't just another bit of decoration. It is essential. Magic only functions when we open ourselves up to it, but it is crucial to understand that we are opening ourselves to delusion, and it can lead us to falsehood and danger. What do you mean by delusion? Let's clarify. There are ways the world works outside of your experience of magical thinking, magical understanding, laws of nature, of physics, the ways people act, the choices they make, the realities of life. You must always keep this in mind. We cannot live within a magic circle forever. Magic's unreality should not be forgotten. If you do, you lose the scaffolding of reality, the tools of navigating the world outside the circle. You threaten to lose sight of the ways the world works, and how you are forced to interact with it. There are still politics, capitalism, other people with their own views and goals. You can't simply exist outside that. And it doesn't just affect you. Take even the most so-called enlightened worldview, a non-dualistic framework that says we are all one with the universe, that the boundary between self and all others is a delusion. Such a worldview makes the fear of death irrelevant, and the coldness and indifference of the universe becomes a warm self-love. One seemingly transcends many of the greatest spiritual and moral struggles. But such a worldview can also lead people to make grave mistakes in how they interact with the world, a world largely populated by people who do not share that framework. Withdrawal and asceticism can be followed by periods of uninhibited pleasure-seeking, and either of those extremes can put the followers of a spiritual leader in danger. We may all be one, but I still need autonomy over my own body. It is unsafe to navigate the world in a non-dualistic mindset for long periods of time. Enlightenment is a terrible excuse for abuse. You're absolutely right. Many leaders have misused their power, and every one of them was responsible for their own actions. Their failures, whatever the reasons, are reminders of the perils on the path. But it is a path I hope you will not forsake. Open yourself to magic, but understand what its limitations are, what its boundaries are. Keep magic within the magic circle. Be cautious. Ritual. And give meaning to the most mundane task. It can open your mind to a sense of spirituality or magic. It can lead you to important introspection. Look around you at the life you're surrounded by, trees and people and stars. You've come here maybe for your first time, maybe as one of many journeys you've embarked upon. And whatever you believe, there is magic to that. Magic in the journey, magic in the ritual, magic in the introspection, magic in nature. Where do you find magic? In the universe. What a miracle of energy and entropy we live in. A universe so empty and yet so full of wonder. Go then, and be mindful of your place in the universe. Thanks, friend. Just gonna wander a little bit here.
We build up structures around us, impose order on the chaos of nature. Roads and railways tame the unpredictable landscape. Buildings and vehicles tame the elements. And yet, nature is never fully shut out. Animals adapt. Moss grows up through cracks in the pavement. Tree roots, ever thirsty, break concrete, disrupt pipelines, crumble foundations. Take in your surroundings. Look for the life that sprouts up in spite of the imposed order. Life is resilient. You are like those sprouts too. We find the spots we can live. We make space for ourselves, even in the most hostile environments. We yearn to find the places where we can truly thrive. Resilience. You can find it all around you, in the plants and animals and insects and fungus and microbes that make up and support everything around you. We are resilient creatures. We have to be.
So when you come down here in the cave, you can see that's the stop up there where the clerk is. A little hub zone. I thought it was important to have sort of a sense of space. You know, you started upon this path from there, and you can wander around and find it again. What is a car doing down here? find a map and teleport to a different part of the park, I think. There's lots to explore in the path, and we wanted to make sure that it was sort of big enough that you could feel that you could have a good walk, that you could meet some hikers without needing to sort of complete it, to you know, go everywhere in the park every time that you came here. You could sort of pick where you wanted to go or explore part of it and still have that feel fulfilling. So there was always something new to discover the next time you come. Yeah, let's go over here.
All across this planet, from the deepest rainforests to the freezing Antarctic, there are tardigrades. Microscopic animals,
Tardigrades.
8 little flailing legs, and chubby, semi-transparent bodies. The diminutive creature is armed with sloth-like claws and 2 retractable spears in its tubular mouth. Through a process called cryptobiosis, they shrink down into a little pellet called a ton. In this state, they can survive extremely high and low pressures. They can survive extreme dehydration. They can survive lava fields and being frozen in a glacier. They can even survive in the vacuum of space. Scientists know that because we sent them there, hoping that the tardigrades' improbable survival might one day aid our own. All in all, they're just little cuties. Moss piglets, water bears. These are some of their common nicknames. People see familiar things in them, and that makes it easier for humans to relate to them, to see their own struggles reflected in those of the humble tardigrades. But tardigrades aren't extremophiles. These creatures don't seek out or thrive in hostile environments. In that way, perhaps they differ from humans, who often seek out challenges and find purpose in thriving despite adversity. Where do you thrive? How will you be resilient?
I'm visited by another cat. Hello. You ever think about what comes next? Well, I'll go back to the convenience store. The end of one journey, the beginning of another. Life is a series of journeys. Maybe death is too. But I mean, after all of this life on this world, when your neurons stop firing, your heart stops beating, we all experience it. People around us dying, loved ones lost to tragedy or time, millions around the world to plague, war, famine. And death comes for us eventually too, sometimes far too soon. It's the big question, isn't it? Is there life after death? Is there anything beyond this universe? I look up at the night sky and there is infinity beyond it. I ask her if there's anything beyond infinity. She shrugs. She doesn't know either. It's just what we leave behind. We all leave something behind. People who will miss us, things we have made, lives we have improved or changed. Maybe what we experience after death isn't important. Like an apple that rots away after an ice storm, leaving a perfect crystalline ghost behind, we leave an impression of the world long after we're gone. The tree told me their stories, the ghost apples. Each one had a life, had a destiny, made an impact. Beauty, sustenance, new life. The world changes because we were in it, even after we're gone. We leave a legacy. Art that inspires long after we've passed. Inventions or innovations that change the world for generations. The ways we've touched other people's lives. We're offspring of our own who will go on to create their own lives, their own legacies. Our lives touch the lives of everyone we encounter. Every step we take on our path alters the paths of those around us, even in small ways, and often in big ones. Who do you love? Who loves you? How many people's lives would be completely different without you in them? That's truly our legacy after death. How much love did we create in the world? How much wonder? How much beauty? How much kindness? Did you make the world a better place, even just for one person? Who will remain here when you go? Who do you leave behind? Who will tell your story? I just want to create kindness. A humble legacy, but perhaps the most important one. Bring some light to the world, leave it a bit of a better place than you found it. We need more of that, I think. I asked the night sky what she believes. She sees stars form and die, new stars born in their wake. She doesn't know what to believe. She just sees infinity. Death and new life and death once more. No matter what you believe will happen when you die, what do you hope will happen? Well, this is a big one, huh? I want to understand it all. Maybe there is some truth, some perfect understanding to be found in that moment. Maybe that's all we can hope for. I also wanted different zones of the path. As you can see, we've been walking through sort of this sculpture garden type area, a little bit more of a manicured spot. With pieces of art and things. Whereas before, of course, we were in the grotto, in the caves, there's forested areas. You can sort of see how it all is laid out on our park map. Just different kinds of places to go depending on sort of how you're feeling. Let's end our journey there, I think.
Thanks for listening to Some Awe. This program was made possible by grant funding for the arts and through the support of listeners like you. Life. The result of entropy and gravity, of chaos and random chance, of circumstances being just right, and of resiliency, the need to survive. As another journey together comes to an end, close your eyes. Think of the life that surrounds you, not just now, but every day. You're never alone. Millions of bacteria are with you, yes, but it's more than that. Plants and animals coexist with you, part of a shared fight to live and thrive. And people, too. Perhaps there are even more out among the stars, hoping for a chance to meet us as intensely as we yearn to meet them. The opportunity to learn from each other, the chance to live. together.
I think I've heard this one already. One goes left, the other right.
Another great song.
To those who hear us just...
So there are 4 journeys in Glitchhikers: The Spaces Between. The highway that we went on, the path. There's also the railway, which is a train, commuter train, and then the terminal, an airport terminal. I'm just gonna do a little bit of a preview of the terminal here. I think won't show you everything, but we'll take a quick look. So you move freely through the terminal at your own pace and speak to any hikers you encounter if you want. The first time you go on this journey, there is a predetermined end. In subsequent journeys, there is no end. Exit the journey via a pause menu whenever you want. So in this game, I have played through the terminal before, so you won't see sort of the predetermined path that we do the first time you come through.
By coming here once more,
Said we're coming here once more.
are showing up for yourself. Even though you are going nowhere, take your time doing it. Be in the present moment. There is no place called the past. You cannot book a flight there. Trust in each moment and let it be enough. This moment. No matter where you go or how fast you travel, you will reach the future at the same pace. Focus on the way you move through the world, on the act of navigating the space around you. Whether you fly in circles, take small steps, or giant leaps, the goal is to be in the present moment. Find focus in flow, and be open to the opportunities life presents us with. Thanks for tuning in, and remember to take it all in stride.
So we did a few things with the terminal that are that I want to show you. I mean, so this is a much more free-form kind of exploration. You know, even the path, you sort of had to stay on the path, as it were, and this is much more sort of traditional first-person gameplay. You can walk around, you can jump, all of that kind of stuff. Here, the cadence of music and voice is a little bit different. We have these screens with our talking heads, our various news anchors who will occasionally speak to you, and the music is just sort of this ambient music that continually plays in the background, and it is largely affected by what you do and where you go. So as you jump, you can hear the sound change a little bit. We have these little speed boosts that can change things a bit. And then also, once you've played through the terminal once, you also can fly. After all, it is an airport, is it not? Ha ha ha. And this just opens up the whole space and lets you move around, and we wanted the feeling of moving in this space to be very, get you in that flow state that games so often do, where you can, skate around and just have some fun, get some little speed bursts. And it's just a very different kind of sort of that introspective mental state that we try to do with Glitchhikers, where you have sort of this freedom to just float through this space at your whim. The music is also affected by the proximity of any hikers that you might find, and I hear this little tune that's playing that suggests that there's a hiker nearby. Let's see if I can find them. It's louder over here. Maybe they're sitting at a gate. elevator? Maybe not. That's okay, there's lots to explore. So like the park also, this is, you know, quite a large space. And so we put in some extra hikers. Oh, there's one over there. So that you can always find someone somewhere. I was also going to say, one of the other things that we did, I mean, I don't know if you noticed in the highway when I was playing earlier, there's sort of other cars on the highway that appear and disappear that you can never quite catch up to or pass. And that was something that, like, that was really important to us to have that sense of, you know, those other cars on the highway, even though you can never get close to them. Because it is so, I mean, it's sort of real to the experience of driving, right? Before we had them on the highway, you know, we didn't really notice, and then we added them to the game, and it became this moment of like, oh, like we were really missing them without having something there, get that just that little bit of life to the space. And so when we came to do the terminal, we realized that we kind of needed something similar, and that's why we have these sort of ghost passengers. These people.
The weather is the same as it ever was. The same as it ever was.
Sitting at the gates and, you know, representing the other kinds of people that are stuck in this airport with all the flights being delayed. But like the cars, you can't really go up to them. You can't really get a sense. You are still sort of alone on this journey, doing your thing. Oh, there's a hiker. Let's talk to this one. This waiting is killing me. It's awful. You know that feeling? The one where existence itself is suffering? Not like depression or anguish or even anxiety, just having to be present in a moment where you would very much like not to be. The skin crawling, the mind racing. Or maybe instead you get the frozen numbness, the calm before the storm, the infinitely long moments before another burst of action, before tiny shards of time gouge and scratch their way through your life, leaving a lifetime of trauma in their wake. Ooh. Have we met before? She looks very much like the hiker we encountered in the drive. I don't think so. I'd remember. Besides, my people just got here. 116 micro-rotations until the room was cleared of hostiles. The helpless moments riding in the transport as the shells burst all around. Storming the compound was fast. The guards didn't expect such a large force. 1,080 microtransactions to take the Ark. 600 to hold the gangway and load our people. 240 of enduring launch G-forces, feeling the diminishing pull of our planet's gravity for what is probably the last time. I don't even know why I'm telling you this. It's not like we've ever met before or will ever meet again. It's probably why. Oh, and I'll be dead soon. So these are some of the same responses we had before. But yeah, this hiker mentioned in the drive, the purple alien hiker mentioned the war on her home planet. And so this group of hikers is in fact all the same person. They experience time in a different way than we do, is sort of the idea. Are you okay? This is never what I wanted, who I wanted to be, but what choice did I have? I couldn't face myself with the things I had to do. I'm sorry you're going through that. It feels like it isn't over yet. Our world was dying, had been for centuries, our system coming too close to another, a blue giant in the distant sky, slowly tearing us apart. and our politicians were doing nothing about it. We protested, we organized, but the protests became more violent as the police used increasingly brutal tactics to put down any show of resistance. Us organizers had to become security, helping protect the citizens who dared to come out. De-escalation tactics and riot medics gave way to insurgency. This is, perhaps a little real, You have to fight for what you believe in. We had no other choice, but war, it's purgatorial. Endless violence, and violence that only creates more violence, even when it's the right thing to do. It was so clear time was running out and the government was stalling, then suddenly we realized non-violent action was no longer enough. Our conservative and centrist politicians stood for nothing, forsaking even their most basic values. I'm not talking about relenting on one or two traditional beliefs. They were corrupt, they were violent, they openly spoke of heinous hatred and genocidal austerity. They encouraged others to hunt down and kill the politicians that opposed them, labeling them as obstructionists. The important thing is you survived. And we helped others survive in the face of extermination, of genocide. But war, it's purgatorial. Endless violence, and violence that only creates more violence, even when it's the right thing to do. It was bad. They convinced the people that the leaders who were asking hard questions and actually trying to fix things were actually a threat to the proper execution of the plan. The plan. This naive faith that it was all under control. My own sister was one of the folks who clung to the myth that was the plan. She'd already lost so much. Of course, the real plan was for the elite to accumulate enough wealth to survive in comfort indefinitely, build the arks, and leave the rest of the planet and population to fend for themselves and die. There must have been another solution. You don't think we tried? We had to fight just to survive, but war, it's purgatorial. Endless violence, and violence that only creates more violence, even when it's the right thing to do. One of the things we wanted to do with the terminal conversations is have them also reflect the type of gameplay and the type of conversation. So, there is no end to the airport. It is itself sort of a purgatory that you choose to end when you're ready. And in this case, the conversation itself is a little purgatorial. It has these looping elements to it. Anyway, we fought back. Eventually, we managed to steal one of the arcs. 600 microtransactions to hold the gangway and load our people, 240 of enduring launch G-forces, feeling the diminishing pull of our planet's gravity, for it was probably the last time. The journey here was actually remarkable. I've never been this far out. A little planet of tiny volcanoes and baobabs, a civilization of artists and dreamers, tribes of nomads who live amongst the stars. But I couldn't focus on any of that. Maybe one day I'll look back on it fondly. You will. I know that. You sound so sure. It's hard to imagine that journey without the accompanying fear, the trauma, the aftermath. It's not how I thought my life would go. In the end, although it was so antithetical to who I thought I would be when I was growing up, I didn't have to think much about enlisting. I couldn't imagine looking my mother in the eye or ever looking upon a child of my own, having not fought to alter our fate. This isn't the safest way to survive an apocalypse, but it's the only way I know how to do it and to also save even just a part of who I am. Life is so paradoxical sometimes. But now what? What are all of us to do? Some just want to go back and fight the monsters that caused this. Some want to just find a new home somewhere. Some are just done. Maybe you can make a life here. A life. What does that even look like now? Well, I'm stuck here for now at least. A new star to orbit, a more stable world. We're all made of star stuff, you know. So I just want to show you one more thing here in the terminal, which is sort of only unlocked after you've played through it that first time. But you can come here, back out through security, and out into the void. Little bits of airport floating in space. You can drift and fly and fall and find other things. Other hikers. But I think I'm going to leave it off there. We can end our journey in the terminal. So that's just a little preview of that. Again, there's also a fourth journey, the Railway, that you can check out. We give a little glimpse of it and the path and the highway in our demo, which should be available now during LudoNarraCon. The game's also on sale, so please do check it out if you're interested. And otherwise, enjoy the rest of what LudoNarraCon has to offer. Thanks for watching.